Hi, I'm Louise. Today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 movies from 2023. I had a really fun time putting this together, and this will be the last part of the videos I've been making of the things I really liked in 2023. The reason, really, that this is in three parts is because this part was a little intimidating, and I knew I wouldn't finish it if I didn't break it up. So here we are. I did it. And thank you guys for watching. It's been so fun to put these together. And so here's my top 10 movies from 2023. I'm going to be starting with number 10, which is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem movie. And I'm kind of surprised this is on this list, but only because I didn't grow up with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at all. So I didn't know any of this, like the lore necessarily. But this movie was so fun and kind of caught me off guard. It looks great. And I love how, like, freakishly weird the humans look. Like, it's just fun. I don't feel like I get to see animation like this very often. And it's really fun to, I don't know, just to see this style. The kids, the teens, they're not kids, the teens are so funny together. And it sounds like they got to record a lot of their stuff together. And I think that was a brilliant choice because their friendship feels natural and it feels like real teenagers to me. Not that I spend a lot of time around teenagers, but they're so fun. And I love the story arc. It's not anything crazy. It's pretty simple, but it's effective. And I think Jackie Chan as Splinter was really a great choice. He's got that heart, and the fight scenes are incredible. They're so fun to watch, and I'm kind of sad there weren't more of them, but I'm sure if we get another one, we'll see more because it's kind of their origin story, so that makes sense that there's less of them. Yeah, the fight choreography was so fun. I thought the villain troupe was really fun. They all had great personalities and they seemed well rounded somehow, even though you only meet them for like a second. Like they don't you don't get to know them super well, but they're all just so fun. I would highly recommend this. There is some body horror, which was also unexpected. So if that's not your thing, I would just be wary. It's not anything crazy. It's not like the Thing levels of body horror, but it is there. And I know some people don't like that, but it is, anyway, it is a really fun and just funny movie. I really loved watching it. My number 9 on this list is the newest edition. It's Poor Things. I finally watched it like a week ago, and it's so fun. I knew going into it I would probably like it because I like Emma Stone, I like Mark Ruffalo, and I like Willem Dafoe. And so I was not expecting to not like it, but I didn't think I would like it as much as I did. I love the production design. I think that was the biggest draw for me because I saw all the incredible colors and her dresses and outfits. Emma Stone's characters are just so delicious and fun and colorful, and they have these fun shapes to them and designs. I loved her clothing, and the movie starts out in black and white, which was really fun. And then when it switches to color, it's a huge change because it spends a lot of time in black and white. I was kind of not expecting that. I think this is Emma Stone's probably best performance ever. I know she's a great actress, but she just really got to shine here because I feel like there's these Emma Stone isms that I see a lot in her performances, and there was none of that here. It was very much she was in that character the whole time. And Mark Ruffalo was a huge standout for me too. He is so funny. And I've been watching a few interviews since I saw the movie, and it sounds like he was really nervous about taking on the role, but he just did a great job. He is so funny, and it makes you kind of love this kind of terrible person because he's just so charming and so entertaining to watch. And he's just a delight. He is so fun and so funny. I really, really enjoyed this one. Oh, I also got to see this in a really big full theater, which was so fun because this movie can be kind of a lot. And some of the gorier parts were not my favorite because that's not something I love, but I closed my eyes and it was okay. But it was really fun to see with a big group of people because there's a lot to react to. And so I'm glad I caught it in theaters. Number 8 is also a recent addition from earlier this year. For me, anyway. I saw it a few weeks ago. It's The Holdovers. And it was such a delight. I really, really enjoyed it. I think that Paul Giamatti did a fantastic job. He's so funny and just kind of terrible. A terrible person, but it works for this movie. I don't know if I'm saying her name correctly, but Divine Joy Randolph was also phenomenal. She definitely deserves that Golden Globe she won. Really, every scene she's in, she kind of steals the show. And I would recommend it just to see her incredible performance. And I also loved the teen actor Dominic. I think this is his first movie, and he really did such a great job. Like, he holds his own against these other two really great actors, and I think that would be really kind of intimidating and hard to do, but he did a great job. I loved this, just the style of this movie. It felt like it was from the 70s, which was really fun for me as someone who really likes movies from the 70s. It's got this overlay that makes it look like it's film, and they added imperfections. I guess it was digitally shot, but they went in later to make it look like it was shot on film, which I think is a really fun choice and very much fit the movie. I loved I don't know. I just feel like, and I've seen reviews like this before too, where it's like, it just seems like these movies don't get made anymore. And it's kind of incredible that this just came out last fall. And it feels like it's not from 2023, which is kind of fun. It's very funny, very heartwarming, and definitely I can see it coming into my Christmas rotation because it takes place at Christmas and New Year's. So I could definitely see it becoming a yearly watch for me if I have a way to watch it. But I would recommend it. It's very funny, very fun. And the dialogue is just so well written and it's so well performed. So it's excellent, excellent work. Number 7 on my list is The Iron Claw, which is now just came out recently. It's excellent. I mostly went into it, watch it because I'm a huge Zac Efron fan. I mean, I grew up with High School Musical, so of course I want to see what stuff he's doing. And I think this is his best performance I've seen. And to be fair, I haven't seen all the stuff he's worked in, but he did a phenomenal job here. He completely transformed for the role. And the way that he interacts with the brothers is just, it feels like they're a family. And not all movies really pull that off, but I think he does a great job being the lead in this movie because there's a lot going on and he totally could get lost, but his performance is very subtle and very I don't know, it's just really incredible. And it makes me sad he's not getting any nominations because he's doing some really great work here, but it may not be as flashy, though to be fair, he is doing a lot of wrestling, which also looks really great. I am not a wrestling person at all, so I knew nothing about this family going into this, so I did not know what I was in for. This movie is so heart-wrenching, but it does end on a hopeful note, which made it not quite so sad for me. And I feel like the story did a great job at keeping things moving, but also letting you sit in the scenes where it wanted you to. The pacing just felt really, really good for considering this covers 30 years or something. I'm not entirely sure the timeline of the whole thing, but it does cover quite a bit of time. But it also allows you to sit in those moments where it really wants you to. And it doesn't handhold you anyway, it's just really, really well done. The writing is excellent. All the performances are great. It makes me want to watch The Bear. I have not seen The Bear, but maybe I will watch it. And this movie made me cry the hardest of any movie in 2023. So just be aware, it is super, super sad. So just be ready if you're gonna watch it. But it is really, really well done. If you're at all interested, I would recommend it. And especially if you know a bit of the story, so you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. But it is very, very sad. Number 6 on my list is Asteroid City. This, when I first saw it, I think I didn't like it as much. I don't know. And the more I thought about it, the more I really, really loved it. So throughout the year, this has gone higher and higher on my list. Because originally it was way down because I just thought it was fine. But it is really, really great. And I feel like, I mean, I am a Wes Anderson fan. I've seen most of his work, but I feel like this one has, I don't know. I just really, the story resonated with me more the more I thought about it, because I think I was kind of caught off guard by the play element of it, where it would pull from, so here's the story of the play that you're watching, but then here is the story about the play. And I thought the switching between the two was kind of weird, and I felt like it halted the story some. But as I thought about it more, I was like, you know what? The story is not actually about, anyway, about the movie necessarily. It's more about the framing device, which is not normally how you do that. But anyway, I really liked it. I loved all the performances were so fun. It was fun to see Tom Hanks in a Wes Anderson movie. I think he fits really well in that, and I hope we get to see him again in a Wes Anderson movie. I also loved seeing Scarlett Johansson, and I think this was her first Wes Anderson. No, that's a lie. I think she's in one of his animated movies, if I'm remembering correctly. But she was great. I really loved the children, like the teens. I thought their dynamic was really fun, and how they became friends. Like, I felt like they were actually becoming friends with each other, and sometimes that's hard to pull off with like teenagers. I think they did a great job. And the little girls were so funny. I really loved the little girls. I thought they did a great job. I loved their work, and I think they did a great job. I love the production design. Of course, you can't not mention the production design for any Wes Anderson movie. And this one in particular, I think really captures that like 1950s Western aesthetic, which, yeah, I just think fits into Wes Anderson's style really well. And the color grading just looks incredible, and everything looks really great considering we're in the same environment for 90% of the movie. It looks great, and it never is boring to look at. Yeah, would recommend it, especially if you like Wes Anderson. I don't think I would start with this one necessarily, but it is really good if you like Wes Anderson movies. So now we're in my top 5 movies of 2023. And this list has stayed mostly the same, but the positions have kind of changed as I've thought about these movies more. It's hard to decide what your favorite movie is. I thought for sure it was one thing, and then I thought about it more, and I was like, you know what? No, it's something else. So anyway, my number 5 is Nimona. I loved the graphic novel a lot, and so I knew going into this I was going to like it at least a little bit, because I thought the writing was really fun, and the world, that this like science fiction fantasy world, was really interesting. And it's kind of a miracle that we got to see this movie at all, and so I was curious about it for that reason, because I was like, it's passed through many hands. I hope it's still a cohesive movie, because I want this movie to be good, because I love the comic. So hopefully it's good. And it was great. I liked that they changed quite a bit of it, but still kept the same themes. Like, I think it's incredible that we have both versions, because you kind of get to see. So the creator of the comic is named N.D. Stevenson. N.D. Stevenson is trans and has since come out since the comic came out. And so I think he's gone through a lot, obviously, through a lot of thinking about his gender and all this stuff. And it's fascinating to see how those themes are different in Nimona versus, like, Nimona the comic versus the movie. I feel like the movie is like a more aware trans person kind of theming versus Nimona, the comic, is more like you can see those themes looking back on it. It wasn't intentional. And so, as someone who is not trans, but part of the queer community, it's really fun to see something like that because I don't feel like there's a lot of queer media that's got to age with the person that made it. So I think that's really cool and unique about the movie versus the comic. And I hope more people read it and watch it because I think it's so well done. Like the animation style is really fun, the voice acting is really great, and the theming is so great. It's definitely a movie that made me cry at the end. I think I think this is a great one. I think I'll show it to whoever is interested. I think it's worth watching if this even sounds a little bit interesting to you. The world is really fun. The characters are really great, and of course I'm going to love it because the main character shape shifts into a shark like a few times. So of course I'm gonna love it. And I mean there's other stuff that makes me love it too, but that was really fun. I think it's worth reading the comic and then also watching the movie. But just watching the movie on its own is really great. Like you don't need to have that context of the comic in order to enjoy the movie because they are very different from each other. And so it's not like you don't I think it's still enjoyable without having read that. Number 4 on my list is Oppenheimer. And this would be anyway, I really loved Oppenheimer. I was kind of burnt. I was kind of turned off to Christopher Nolan for a few years because of Tenet. And not that Tenet wasn't good, but the sound mixing just drove me crazy because the movie is 90% exposition. And if you want me to understand how your time backwardsy mechanic works, and if you're explaining it for most of the movie, I need to be able to understand what the people are saying. And so I was really frustrated by that. And so I kind of was like going into this being like, well, I'll probably like it, but we'll see. And the sound mix in this is actually really good, which is great because it is a lot of talking. But you can understand what they're saying. I think this is Christopher Nolan's best movie. It's not necessarily my favorite, but I think it's the one that has been created the best. Like all the editing choices feel really intentional and perfect. And then all the acting, of course, is excellent. And all of the cinematography looks really good. I feel like you really get into the head of Oppenheimer. And then also, he's really great at moving the story along and keeping you like invested in what's happening, even though it's about something that could be really complicated and confusing. I think they do a great job of keeping the emotional elements there while still keeping some of the technical stuff that not everybody's going to understand, but that's okay because you're there for the emotion, and I was able to follow that through the whole thing. I do think it's a little long, but I don't know what I would cut. You know, it's just so well paced, and it never feels boring to me. Like it always feels like there's something with a purpose. I'm loving how much love this movie's getting at awards season. If there was any movie that Christopher Nolan was going to win Best Director for at the Oscars, I hope it's this one because this is his best movie, in my opinion. Yeah, I really loved this movie, and I need to watch it again. I've only seen it the one time, but I loved it, and I loved that it got paired with Barbie. I loved Barbenheimer. It was the weekend of my birthday, and it was the movie theater is like my safe place. I love going to the movies, and it was so fun to see so many people so excited to go see these two movies that are so different from each other, but are so done by great directors, and it just was so fun to enjoy. And I'll talk about that more. Spoilers for later on my list when I talk about Barbie. But this was just excellent work by Christopher Nolan, and I can't wait to see what he does next. I just don't think I can imagine him doing anything better than Oppenheimer, but we'll see. You never know. Number 3 on my list. So, I feel like I need to explain my number three. I don't think this movie is necessarily better than Oppenheimer, but I just had more fun with it. John Wick 4 is my number three movie of the year. It feels a little out of place in this list, but I had so much fun seeing this. I got to see it in IMAX, and oh my goodness, it sounded incredible. It looked incredible. The fight scenes are some of the best fight scenes I've ever seen. I love action movies, they're so fun. And this is easily one of my top five action movies of all time. Like, it's so entertaining. The story's kind of a mess, but I don't care. That's not the point of this movie. The point of this movie is to see whatever that director is going to put Keanu Reeves through, and Keanu Reeves he just is so great. He looks incredible. Like, he looks like he fits within this world. Like, some movie stars are in action movies and I feel like it doesn't feel like they're doing everything, but oh my gosh, Keanu Reeves is so great at this role. It just is so phenomenal. That last hour is some of the best action I've just ever seen. And then earlier fight scenes are pretty incredible too. Like, that invasion on the hotel is really cool looking. There's lots of neon lighting. It's really fun to look at. It's really pretty movie. I think some of the other John Wick movies aren't as nice to look at. This one looks great. And that fight scene where it's shot from above is incredible. I literally had my jaw on the floor. Well, not literally, but I was on the edge of my seat just muttering to myself, no way, the whole time that was happening. Just from a production standpoint, as someone who's worked on film productions, I'm like, how in the world did they do that? How in the world? I just am so impressed with everything they were able to do. It's so incredible. Yeah. It's my number three. It was my number one for until July. And I just can't believe how incredible it was. Like, it's so, so good. I would recommend it to anyone. And I don't even necessarily think you have to watch the other ones to watch this one. Although some of the story elements will make no sense at all if you don't. But that's not the important part of this movie. It does what it does perfectly almost. Like, it just is so, so good. I'd highly recommend it if you're an action movie person at all. Now we're in my top two, and these have swapped so many times in my head, and I'm just going to commit to what I have because I like them both, but for different reasons, and they're very different movies. But my number two for 2023 was Barbie. I loved Barbie, unsurprisingly. I'd been looking forward to it all year. I planned my entire birthday around it because my birthday's the 22nd of July. And so I was like, I'm going to take all my friends and family. We're all going to dress up and we're all going to go. And it was so fun to see everybody dressed up. It wasn't just us. So many people dressed up. So many people dressed up in pink. And it was such a fun weekend for me. Again, I talked about it earlier, but I loved getting to see so many people at the theater wearing pink and so excited to see Barbie, and then also Oppenheimer, which is a 3-hour biopic. Like, that's just crazy to me that movie has almost made $1 billion, and I think it's gonna make $1 billion sometime this year because they keep re-releasing it in IMAX and all that. So I wouldn't be surprised if it hit that mark pretty soon here. Anyway, it was so fun. This movie is so fun. The production design is excellent. And Margot Robbie as Barbie, I don't feel like that she's been talked about enough, but she does a great job at creating this character that would be really tricky, I think, to play because she's like kind of childish or childlike, but not. I don't know. She's a really unique character, and I think Margot Robbie really handles her well. And then you've got, of course, this movie is so well written. I think I love Greta Gerwig's work. Little Women is one of my favorite movies ever, and I just think this is also excellent. And the fact that she got to use a big movie budget to make this movie is so fun, and got to do just something so fun and feminine and just, and it resonated with so many people. Like, I can't believe that this is the highest grossing movie of 2023. Like, I can after following like the Barbenheimer thing, but it just seems like even 5 years ago that wouldn't have happened. And I also can't believe this movie exists at all. It just seems so funny in a way that Mattel might not have appreciated, but I'm glad that they let it happen because what a fun movie. I don't know. It's really fun. And I'm really glad that so many people enjoyed it and got to see it. And I'm hopeful that now Greta Gerwig will get to do whatever she wants. So I'm excited to see what she does next. Oh, and another note. I also love 2001: A Space Odyssey, so I'm really glad that that was part of this movie. It's a minor thing, but I think it's really fun that that's how the movie starts. Anyway, I just love that so much. And it's a pretty good parody when you compare them to get like side by side. I've seen that online and it's just so fun. My number one movie of this year is Godzilla Minus One. And I know I've talked about this on Twitter a lot, but I cannot understand how great of a movie experience this was for me. And just how fun and how great of a movie this is. I went into this kind of expecting more of the like American version of Godzilla. I don't know why. Maybe that's just because what I was familiar with, and that's what's been coming out recently. Of course, it's gonna be different because it's from Japan, and it's also set in the late 1940s, right after World War II. So of course, it's gonna be different. I think the best way to describe it is that it's a great movie that just so happens to have Godzilla in it. I love Godzilla movies. I think they're an interesting reflection on like what time period they're made in and like what they focus on, because it really is a big metaphor for nuclear warfare. Like that's how it started out as, and it's kind of shifted in its meaning. And I like that this kind of comes back to the original meaning of Godzilla, but puts it in a modern lens in a great way. All of the characters are so interesting and so well acted, and the story is so fun. I kind of forgot that I was watching a Godzilla movie at points, which I think is great. I think that's a great way to do it, because then Godzilla shows up and you're like, oh my goodness, this is a huge problem, especially for this country that has completely been demilitarized. Like, what do you do to fight this giant creature when you don't have any kind of weapons and stuff? So it's so creative and so well done. The music is excellent. I highly recommend listening to that, even if you're not going to watch the movie. But I would also recommend watching the movie. I got to see this in IMAX, which was incredible. The sound mixing was it just made Godzilla seem way more terrifying, because it's like shaking the movie theater the whole time. And you're just like, I don't know if they're going to make it. I don't know if they're going to make it. And it just really makes Godzilla really terrifying. And the way that Godzilla looks is also terrifying. Like the eyes that kind of don't really look at anything were really freaky to me, but in a good way. Like it really, I don't know. I really liked this Godzilla. It was just a really mean Godzilla for no reason. Like it seems like some Godzillas are very like, I will only attack because X thing happened to me. But this Godzilla just seemed really vengeful and kind of mean, which fit the movie. And I think, I don't know, it was just really well done. It looks great. It sounds great. The story is great. The acting is excellent. And I hope to see more stuff like this resonate with American audiences, because it seems like it's doing pretty well here. And I love that that's happening. And I love that, like, The Boy and the Heron and Godzilla Minus One did so well here. Like, it's fun to see people embrace movies that aren't in English, because they're really great. There's a lot of great stuff. There's this quote from Bong Joon-ho, the director of Parasite, I'm paraphrasing here, is basically like, there's a whole world of great movies out there if you're willing to just read subtitles. And I agree with that. Yeah, 2023 was a great year for movies and for video games. And I feel like there's stuff that I didn't get to watch and I didn't get to play that I'm excited to experience this year or later. I want to hear what you guys loved in 2023. What games did you play? What movies did you watch? Anything that you loved? And it doesn't necessarily have to even come from 2023 because there's so much out there, so much great stuff out there. But, it's impossible to watch everything and play everything. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. And if you've made it this far, I really appreciate you watching this whole video. I'm hopeful in 2024. I've been saying 2023 so many times that, anyway. I'm hopeful in 2024 to make more longer form videos like this. So hopefully that'll end up happening. We'll see. But thank you for watching. I really appreciate you guys. And I hope you have a great 2024. It's going to be a great year, I think.